How to stop talking to sellers. I sell a program that teaches people how to do something that I don't like to do myself. In my system, I teach you to talk to buyers and sellers. It may be the best training for learning how to get buyers and sellers to work with you that has ever existed. I've never found one better. In fact, if you don't learn how to do it, you probably won't ever be a successful entrepreneur. But I hate talking to sellers. I hate talking to buyers. Okay, maybe hate's too strong a word, but I can definitely say that I'd rather be doing other things that I like better. I'm good at it, but I don't like it. I'd rather futz with my computer and bring in deals. So I don't do it anymore, at least not very often. That doesn't mean that I don't use my system. I do. In fact, I use it every single day and it makes me a lot of money. But the reason I can do it without talking to buyers and sellers is that I've added one more step to the system that I don't normally teach. I don't normally teach it because it's an advanced technique, and you may not be able to pull it off unless you have some skill talking to sellers. And honestly, it'll be difficult unless you have my personal help to guide you through it. So with that said, I've decided to let the chips fall where they may. And for the time, during my 2-day buying event that's coming up here in June, teach you how to extract yourself from talking to sellers and buyers. Let me step back just a minute first. I've told you before that you need to extract yourself from the business. Otherwise, all you have is a job. Here's how you do that. Step 1. Automate everything you have to do to make money. Number 2, outsource anything that can't be automated. And step 3, eliminate everything else. I've been teaching the automation because it's 90% of the work, and I felt like it was the easiest thing to implement. But although I teach how to get a robot to do 90% of what I've been teaching you, there's 10% that can't be automated. Someone has to talk to buyers and sellers if you want to create a steady stream of deals. When you're just a beginner, getting someone to talk to sellers for you is more difficult than doing it yourself. It also takes more time to accomplish. But once you learn how to do it properly, you can expand your business far beyond what you ever thought possible. You can also do all your business remotely. You don't have to be in or near the town where you do deals. You just need an internet connection to that town. And here's what your business would look like when you use this new system that I'm talking about. You'll never have to make a phone call. You'll never have to talk to a seller. You'll never have to talk to a buyer. You'll never have to do any of the work yourself. You'll outsource it all. You'll never spend a dime on down payments. You'll never need to use your credit. You still need to oversee it and make sure it's running smoothly. But the time it takes you to do this is tiny compared to what you have to do to keep it running without this knowledge or automation. Once it's set up, the daily work is done for you. It's the closest thing I've ever created to a money machine. I know that sounds like hype, but I'm not feeding you a line here. This is the real deal. So here's how it works. Number 1, you either hire someone to do it for you, or you use my software, the Auto Marketer, to send out messages to sellers asking if they'll sell on terms. This takes about 10 minutes per week. 0 minutes if you use the Auto Marketer. This gives you a constant stream of motivated sellers who will consider selling, consider seller financing, when you contact them. Number 2, when you use the Auto Marketer software system, it scrapes powerful, motivated seller leads from the For Sale by Owner websites. The software does the heavy lifting. It finds a never-ending new source of sellers. Then it sends them an offer. There's a cost of 2.5 cents per message when you voice blast or text blast, and 8 cents per scraped lead. And these are business-to-business leads for you internet marketers out there, so contacting them is not spam. Depending on your response rate, your cost per lead will typically range between $1 and $4 each, much better than just about any other marketing system out there. Just to compare, snail mail, postcards and letters, yellow letters, is costing between $20 to $100 per lead these days. Number 3, after the message is sent to the seller, responses come in. If you send voice blasts or text, the responses usually come within minutes. These responses are automatically plugged into our autoresponder, and they start getting a sequence of text messages that drive them to one of your seller websites. You're going to get several clone websites designed for different purposes. I'm not going to go into that right now. A small percentage of them will read the site and fill out the online form. They'll also fill out the online lease option memo, which would give you control of their property. And sometimes they do this without talking to you. Some of them will get your message, but do nothing. Our autoresponder will continue to drip on those until they sign up or unsubscribe or die. It's amazing how many deals come in with this system months after we first contacted them. Now, just a word of warning, only a small percentage of sellers will sign without you talking to them. The rest of the leads will need to be called by either you or someone you train. Finding and training that person is the live advanced session I'm going to be doing at the teaching event and the 2-day buying event that's coming up here in June. At the beginning, you'll be the one to call these seller leads. It's imperative that you learn this process if you want to move on to learn how to hire and train someone to do it for you. Once you learn it, it'll be a lot easier for you to use this technique to find and train someone to do this work for you. And in the process, protect yourself from having them leave and become your competition. You're going to love the things I have in place to do all this. It's very cheap, and it won't even dig into the profits from your local deals because you're going to start new people like this in areas outside your normal working cities if you're already working as an investor in a particular town. What happens when you do this is that your base expands and you start doing more deals. You don't have to let your business drop off while you're bringing in new help. It can work beautifully if you set it up correctly. There's a game changer that we implemented, which is a new 2-step calling process that makes it easier to learn how to make these calls. The first step is a simple list of questions that we ask the seller. The second step is the close. This requires more skill, and I'm going to teach you how this works at the buying event. We're outsourcing step 1 to inexpensive telemarketers who do this work for us. I'm going to show you how to hire several people to do this work for you. It's cheap and pretty easy, but it does take a little bit of time to set up. This new 2-step process for getting sellers to sign our deals has made a huge difference in getting more deals, and I'm pretty excited about it. All right, step 4. Once you have the deal and control the property, you need to either show the property yourself, not something I do personally, or train someone locally to show the property for you, typically someone you pay $8 to $15 an hour, while you deal with the buyers on the phone. Now, this isn't very difficult to teach. We previously used realtors to do this work, but we found that it was 10 times cheaper to hire a telemarketer and often easier, even though you may have to give them $50 to $100 before you get it sold if you're paying $8 to $15 an hour. Step 5. The boots on the ground person you hire is going to put your sign in the yard. This is going to cost $3. Take some digital pictures with their camera and put a lockbox on the front door. You can get them for $15 on Amazon. They're also going to contact the seller by phone and pick up the key and introduce themselves. Step 6. Your $8 to $10 per hour virtual assistant is going to post your property for sale using the online sites that we tell them to use. Again, I've written this process out for them and created videos to explain it, so there's really no guesswork here. These are the SOPs, the standard operating procedures that you get when you join my mentor program. Remember, you can do all this work yourself, and maybe you should on your first few deals, but it can all be outsourced and automated, and it's the only way that you're going to extract yourself from the business. Step 7. buyer leads are going to come in and be put into your database that we set up for you, either automatically when they fill out the online form or manually if they call you. But again, this is done by the person who is handling your buyers. And that's it. Because you're going to be hiring somebody else to do your buyers too. You're not going to be talking to them either. So that's it. Once it's set up and it's working, it'll start making you money. It's worked in every market we've ever tested it. And if for some reason it doesn't work for you in one area, which I don't think is likely, you can always try it in another area or even multiple areas. It's scalable. You can do this nationwide, even worldwide, if you feel like it. All right, I think it's pretty cool. So have you ever heard of a business system that did so much of the work for you from day one? If this isn't getting your juices flowing, you have no business being a real estate investor. There's nothing like this system anywhere in the world that I've ever seen. Companies spend millions of dollars to create systems like this. I had to try hundreds of different techniques before I found the right combination of automated activities, software, and processes to make this work. And you can do it from anywhere. You can lounge in the cabana on the beach and manage this entire system with nothing but your laptop and an internet connection. You can do it in 8 to 10 hours a week, and often less. And this is before you find someone to work with your sellers. And here's the part that's going to make it irresistible, I think. If it doesn't work, you don't have to pay me a dime. I mean it. I guarantee 100% that it'll work, and if you do it the way I teach it, it'll work. Of course, if you don't do the work, I also guarantee you won't make a dime. I'm only going to give you this system. I'm only going to give this system to the people who attend my 2-day virtual buying event on June 8th and 9th, 2024, that's coming up here in just a few weeks. You don't have to travel to attend. It'll be held online. You have to attend to get this system. So who's allowed to come to this event? Everyone who's in my current mentor program and in my inner circle program. Those are the folks who've been in the program in the past and then signed up to continue after their 6 months. I used to let past mentor students come for free, but I've stopped doing that, so sorry about that. Doesn't mean I don't still love you and that I want you to attend. If you're a past mentor student in the past 10 years and would like to come, all you have to do is join the Inner Circle program. This costs $295 a month and allows you to come to these events. It also allows you to join us on our bi-weekly coaching Zoom calls, and it gives you personal access to me for your email questions. Basically, it's an extension of the 6-month mentor program. If you're a past mentor student and you'd like to sign up for the Inner Circle program, just reply to us and let me know. Send an email to joecrump@joecrump.com and I'll have Amanda get you signed up. If you want to join the mentor program and attend the buying event, please go to my website for all the details about the program. It's at zerodowninvesting.com. There's a ton of information there that is free, that is worth listening to, even if you don't sign up for the mentor program. Now, I want to warn you that the 6-month mentor program and the buying event is not cheap. It costs about the same as going to college for 1 semester. I do have a monthly payment plan available. It's a $10,000 program. If you're a cash flow newsletter member, which is a $39 a month newsletter, you get 30% off. So that brings it down to $7,000. You can pay $2,000 up front and $416.67 a month for 12 months. Or if you pay it all in a lump sum, I'll give you another $1,300 off of that price to bring it down to $5,700. So you can get a pretty good deal on this property, if you set it up right. You must reserve a spot at this event if you're already in the mentor program. I need to know who's going to come so I can properly prepare for you. All right, well, that's it for now. If you're interested, give me a call, 317-598-1220. I wish you all the best. There is one thing that I wanted to show you that I'm gonna be talking about at the buying event. And let me go into this. This is the auto marketer. And this is a power dialer. campaign. And what we've done, one of the things that we've added is we contact absentee and expired listings, and we have telemarketers who are making these calls for us, so we can call a lot more people. So I set up the power dialer to make that possible, to make it easier to call through a lot of people. One of the problems that we have when we find these leads, because we get them off of places like PropStream or Property Radar or other places that have data like this, but they don't usually have the phone numbers, or they have phone numbers but they're not great phone numbers, so we go to a separate skip tracing company, and that skip tracing company can find us up to 10 phone numbers per lead, and we don't know which one of those phone numbers is the right phone number. So, you know, and if you've got somebody who's calling for you, we wanted to make it easy for them to scroll through those phone numbers and call, find out if that one's good. If it's not, mark it bad, go to the next one, find out if that one's good. If it's not, go to the next one, on, and just be able to scroll through these numbers quickly, calling through them and finding the ones that are good until you find the right person. Because sometimes you hit a landline, sometimes you hit a cell phone, sometimes you hit, you know, the brother, sometimes you hit the aunt, sometimes, you know, you get different people. Sometimes there's somebody who has no idea who you're talking about, and you know, that's why you have to be able to get through these phone numbers quickly. So let me just show you real quickly how this was working. If I go into a power dialer campaign, I'm not going to talk about how to set these up right now, but basically you import your leads into the system and you create a campaign that you can put together, or you can have your assistant do it for you. And then once the campaign is set up, and this one has 710 leads in it, you can see they've already started making calls in it. There's about 198 of them that have already been called. But you can start the campaign by clicking on the start button, and it'll open up the power dialer system. This top section is the phone interface, and I've talked about this in other systems before, so I'm not going to talk about it here in much detail, other than the fact that you can call this lead by clicking call the lead, and it'll start calling the first lead on the batch. If I want to go to the next lead, I can click next and go to the next one. If I want to see all the different leads, I can scroll through them here and see what the status is for all the leads in the campaign. I also have scripts that I can pull up to be able to talk to these people. So we made it really easy for our telemarketers to make these calls. All the information is here that you need. The property that they have is here. All I have to do is click on this and it opens up the property questionnaire so that you can ask them questions easily. So let's say you've gone through this process and you called this lead, and it starts to dial. And I'm not going to call through this. I'm going to hang up this number. But once we hang up, let's say this was a bad number, it's going to, once we hang up the phone, it's going to pull up this little window so that you can say what the status is of this particular lead. Now, if you know that the lead is bad and you're not going to use it, you can hit all these numbers are bad. If you complete the call, you can hit complete the call. If you hit those two things, then it'll put them at the bottom of the list, or it'll take them off the list entirely. If you hit busy, left voicemail, or call later, then it'll put them at the bottom of the list so that you can call them later. But if you make a phone call and you find out that this phone number is bad, you can put it in as a bad number. And it'll ask if you want to proceed. You can do that. And then you can create the next one as the default number. And it'll put this number here up into the default section. So it'll bring it up into the default section. And now you can call that number and you can dial that. And if I have notes about it, let's say this is the mom and I want to try the next number, I can make this the default number and I can call it. And I can make this the default number and call it. So I can scroll through these very easily, making notes on each phone number and be able to keep a record of it. And it doesn't throw away bad phone numbers. What it does is it marks them on the lead sheet so that you can always find them later. So down here, it'll mark them as whether they're good numbers or bad numbers, with red or with green. So it makes it really easy to scroll through a ton of phone numbers and allow either you or your telemarketer, whoever's making your calls for you, to do that work for you. And that will make all the difference. Anyway, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up at the Buying event, and we're going to show you how to implement this stuff and how to hire people to do this work for you, so you don't have to. All right, have a good one.